So neurodiverse to me, my understanding of it now, is that it is just a different way of thinking and being. Your brain is wired differently to what is termed as neurotypical. There's no pros or cons of being either way. It's just a different way of seeing the world.
To me, neurodiverse means just that the brain is different. So there are many different neurodiversities, autism, ADHD, dyslexia. All just means that the person's brain is working in a different way, not necessarily in the wrong way, just different to the average person.
I guess it could explain how an individual brain works on a very simplistic level. Those who are labelled neurodiverse would be seen to have a brain that works outside the average range. It's important for me to say that I do believe each and every one of us is unique, though.
So I've actually got 2 neurodiverse children, and the experience has been challenging, really sad actually, because the way I have 2 daughters, so typically the girls will mask, and they will mask very, very well, and it has not been picked up on either of them. But that's not with me saying I have concerns and I have worries. I've been completely ignored for years and years and years. I think we're in our 7th year of battling things now. My eldest is 14, my youngest is 11.
My experience with one of my children who went through the school system, my son was diagnosed with Asperger's at age 11, and initially he went to a private school and he really enjoyed it there. Because he had the freedom to do as he pleased, and it was relaxed and happy for him. After this, he moved to a state primary school, and that was for reception class. And he was in a large class of 30, and things didn't work so well for him. He didn't want to go to school, and he was upset, and he was dysregulated throughout the day. And it was obvious he was not going to be okay to remain at this setting.
My son Ben, he's 16 now, and he's been in mainstream school from all the way through. So he started in nursery when he was 3, and with support, he's managed to stay in mainstream school. My view was always, when he was little, when he was first diagnosed, my idea was always that I would keep him in mainstream school unless there was an issue.
Do you find that schools have helped your child sort of tackle society in general? Or?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's all academic. It's really. So my eldest daughter, we've had an educational psychologist report, and we've had to pay a lot of money to get anywhere with this, and because I knew she needed some support with social communication, that sort of thing, but I didn't really understand how to help her. I'm not autistic myself. I'm ADHD, but I'm not autistic. So I don't find it difficult speaking to people and communicating with people and just chatting. So I find it quite hard to sort of help her. So I knew she needed help in that area, and we've had to pay for an educational psychologist to get any answers. And what the educational psychologist is suggesting, where she needs some support and on social communication and all these things, the school are saying no, they can't meet need and they can't provide. So, and again, I don't think that's necessarily the school being like, well, these girls, it's just they haven't got the staff, they haven't got the training, they haven't got the resources. So I think, so they're just not being prepared. Everything that's been prepared for is what we do at home, and it's exhausting when it's not being reciprocated at school.
I think to a degree it has, and it has in certain ways. They do like nurture groups, and he has studied a subject called social studies, where they've learned about different parts of society. So they've learned about or different aspects of society. So they've learned about travel and transport and how to get to different places, how to pay for things, a bit about money, that type of thing. So yeah, to a degree, I would say yes, but I think sort of things that we do with him at home probably are preparing him for that more so. He also has had some sessions with occupational therapists who've done some work on him about what autism means, because Ben's found it quite difficult to sort of get his head around around what it all means, and what it means to him. So there's been a few different things. He also goes to a group called Toby Henderson, the Toby Henderson Trust, and he goes to a social group there called Mates, and he meets other people with the same sort of neurodiversities as him, very similar sorts of people, and they do different things, different sort of activities and that sort of thing. So another way that he's been sort of helped.
Does it mean schools prepare my child with life skills to manage in society? And not particularly. It did help in terms of realising there's a hierarchy of power in society, but I don't think they develop skills, and that doesn't really take place, aside from an individual's capacity to process and work through their own things independently. So for neurodiverse children, this can be really difficult because they can't do that. And it didn't, in my honest opinion, I suppose, help with problem solving or developing lifelong skills.
Can the government provide more for neurodivergent students? Absolutely. I do not think for 1 minute that there are MPs that sit in Parliament every week, every day, who do not have struggles getting their children into school. I do not believe for 1 second that there are not neurodivergent MPs sitting in Parliament with neurodivergent children. They have the power to actually look at themselves, look at their own family situations and change things. And we need to change it from the grassroots. We need to change it from training of teachers, of understanding of teachers on what neurodivergent means and the difficulties it brings within this restricted education system that we have.
The issue is with the government is just down to funding. There's just not enough money for everyone who needs support to get the support that they need in school. So as I keep saying, we've been lucky. I don't know if it is luck particularly, or if, I don't know, but there's not enough money to go around everybody. Not every child with autism, for example, can manage in mainstream school. That's certainly true. I know a lot of people whose children just couldn't manage in a school like where Ben is, because it's huge for a start, it's enormous, and a lot of people with sensory issues just wouldn't be able to manage that. So I think for a start there aren't enough schools for children, students with autism and with neurodiversities.
I do think the government can do more. It's really tricky as it's finding the right people. Rigorous selection of trainee teachers, I suppose, is what I would say, not just letting anyone go into teaching or working alongside young people, because it depends, I think, well, I believe, on their principles and morals as well. The right staff are fundamental.
Not all staff, by any stretch of the imagination, not all staff are trained to know how to work with people with different brains, basically.
I think it's really hard to understand what someone's going through, as we all have different thresholds of emotions, and people obviously feel different at different times and depending on what's happened. But I think to listen and to show empathy and to acknowledge the challenges people are having. And obviously a good friend always makes their friends laugh, so stay happy for them and help them talk it out if they need that support.
If they're going through a challenge, if they're going through difficult times, is just to be as understanding as possible, and just to try and get to know what the problem is, what's making it difficult. That might be something that you don't find difficult, but that they really do, and just to get to the bottom of why is the best sort of way to go about it, in my opinion. What's happening, why, and just then to be patient. And it might not be something that you really understand, but just to try and be as patient as possible with the problem, and see if you can ask them what you can do to help them as well. It's just, because it might be something completely different to what you're thinking, so just ask if there's any way you can help.